मुझे बताया गया है कि that National Museum of Natural History is organizing summer camp for you children of standard 6 to 10 during this summer. And indeed, it's a pleasure to talk to all of you um, about nature. We will talk about nature today. Why? First, about COVID 19. How our disrespect or our not being careful in protecting nature, we got this disease. Children, you'll be surprised that more than 60% of infectious disease like COVID 19 come from nature, from the wildlife. And uh, COVID 19, you might have heard, has come from bats. You know, bats, चमगादड़ जिसको बोलते हैं. Uh, there are many animals, plants who live in wild, and we eat cultivated varieties of plants like rice, wheat, various fruits, even mushrooms. There are many mushrooms which grow in wild. We don't eat those because some of those are poisonous. So before making a particular species, particular plant fit for eating, the various tests are done. There are protocols. Unfortunately, when we start eating things directly from nature which grow in wild and particularly animals, uh, like we humans, we carry a lot of viruses, bacteria, and there are many bacteria which are very useful. There are many bacteria in our alimentary canal, who help us in digesting food, etc., etc. They are beneficial, and there are some harmful bacteria, viruses, and so on and so forth. So, what has happened today is that these uh, animals, particularly bats in this particular case, has been a carrier of these viruses which were not harming them. But when we ate those, it got transmitted to humans. So, from wild animals to human transmission, and these kind of diseases are known as zoonosis, zoonosis. So, COVID 19 is a zoonosis. So, this is the first homework for you guys that you Google, you go to your books and type ZOONOSES. So what are zoonoses? Now, why this has happened? Why this transference? Because we ate a wild animal, which we shouldn't have done. Before eating anything from nature, we must ensure through protocols that it is edible. You know, so this is the first thing. Now, another example how the food chains and food webs work in nature. In your school, you must have studied about food chain, food web. If not, go through your books. I think ecosystem, ecology, all these terms are there. I will touch upon those, and I will also talk about ecosystem services a little later. I'll talk to you around 15 to 20 minutes. First, let's I was talking about vultures. You might have heard that the number of vultures in our country has gone down, is rapidly going down. And I'll tell you the region. I'll tell you the region, and then you'll appreciate how the food chain or food webs are important. Vultures are decomposers, scavengers of the nature. That is, they feed on dead animals. So we human beings create so much of waste in nature, and but there is no waste in nature. And that's one of the ecosystem services through the decomposers or scavengers. So a dead animal was being eaten by, that's their food, that's their raw material for vultures. Unfortunately, what happened in order to enhance the capacity and capability of our domesticated cattle like cows, buffaloes, we started giving them muscle building medicine. Like one of such medicines is diclofenac. This medicine was given to the cattle. These cattle gave more production, they became more versatile, more muscle power. But when these animals were dying and vultures were feeding on them, they got the diclofenac, and that diclofenac went into the system of vulture, it went into their kidney and started killing them. So, a medicine for animal A became killer for animal B, and we started losing vulture population, vultures, and they are the great scavengers, and they don't let any animal rot and spoil the system, spoil the nature. So government of India has a program of bringing back, restoring vulture population. So that's a separate chapter. But you can, as part of the homework, find out what is happening in the front of how many vultures are there, what are the varieties, and how do they come into play in nature. Friends, this year, because we are all under lockdown because of COVID-19, and I said how we got COVID, this virus, we got it, and it's a RNA virus. RNA and DNA. This RNA virus is even more difficult. What are the viruses? Viruses are neither animals nor plants. Viruses, once they get into, and they are non-living, but they become living, they start reproducing once they get into the living system. So otherwise, they are not there. But once they are into your system, then the hell breaks loose. Scientists are still working on how this new virus COVID-19, which is causing coronavirus disease. There are many coronaviruses, but this one, a new one, and is mutating also. So it's a challenge for the society, and we are all under lockdown. It's more than 3 months. The whole world is inside the house, and animals, birds, everybody is laughing at us. They are enjoying freedom from, you know. Children, I hope you know what is biodiversity, biological diversity. But you also know what is ecology, what is economics, what is sociology. I'll come a little later about this. So, balance in nature is very important. Nature is, um, where the living and non-living, and that is what we call ecosystem scientifically. What is an ecosystem? Ecosystem is an interaction between living and non-living components of nature. In nature, you have living animals, biodiversity, variety of life on Earth, variety at the genetic level, variety at the species level, and variety at the ecosystem levels. Ecosystems are agroecosystems, forest ecosystems, aquatic ecosystems. Those of you who live in, I'm told, you children are from across the country. Some of you live in coastal areas. You see the sea. Some of you might be living on the cities on the banks of a river like Hooghly in Kolkata, or Ganga in Patna, or Ganga in Haridwar, or Yamuna in Delhi. So many of us live along the banks banks of the rivers or coast or in Himalaya. As I come from Himalaya, I am born and brought up in Himalaya, so many of you might be living in Himalaya at an altitude. It's hot here in Delhi. I am talking to you from Delhi, and we have a very, very interesting country. We have 10 biogeographic zones. We have tropical rainforests. We have alpine meadows. So this country is amazing. So far as biological diversity is concerned, and and you will be surprised, we have only 2.5% of the world's area geographically, yet we have 8% of birds world's species, the plants and animals that we have named. We have around 100,000 एक lakh animal species in this country, and around 50,000 varieties of plants in this country. So all this is biological diversity. And we have scientists have been able to name only around 1.5 million, 1.5, 1.6 million, 15 से 17 लाख स्पीसीज को ही अभी तक हम नाम दे पाए हैं। उनमें से मैंने बताया कि 1 लाख एनिमल्स और 50,000 प्लांट स्पीसीज हमारे देश में भी पाई जाती है। हमने इतना 8% ऑफ द वर्ल्ड बायोडाइवर्सिटी इज इन इंडिया, 8% ऑफ नॉन स्पीसीज, and among in the tropical areas, and the large number of species are insects which help in pollination, and 80% of the life forms is, and we are also one of that, Homo sapiens, humans. Unfortunately, we humans have uh, you know uh, created a disbalance for our own selfish ends. हम लोग बहुत स्वार्थी हैं, बड़े selfish हैं. We kill animals and plants, destroy plants just like that. Whereas in nature, you see the food chain. A herbivore eats grass, and then herbivore is eaten by carnivore. A carnivore will eat a herbivore, its prey, only when it is hungry. It's a natural prey. But we humans kill animals like anything, destroy plants like anything. So we have no business to do this. And this disbalance in the nature that we have created is creating havoc. And that is why we are inside home today. And I really don't know, if we do not correct our behavior, we are in for a big trouble. But I have full faith in you, children. You will definitely change the course of the world, and that is where the International Biodiversity Day. Remember, when is it celebrated every year in the world? On the 22nd May. And World Environment Day, which is celebrated every year, observed everywhere on the 5th June. So this year's International Biodiversity Day was observed while we were all sitting at our homes under a lockdown. Very unfortunate. Nature would love us to go out, play with nature, and protect nature. Unfortunately, as I explained, we have destroyed nature like anything. We have started eating wildlife, and that is where the disease transmission has taken place. The theme for this year's International Biodiversity Day was what? Our solutions are in nature. And the theme for this year's International Environment Day was time for nature. So everything in nature, and as I said, nature is ecosystem. Ecosystem means the interaction between living and non-living. A simple example, and of there are 4 ecosystem services. Children, I would like, it's already 15 minutes, another 5 minutes I will speak to you. Another homework that I want to propose for you guys. You can at your leisure during these vacations, and this month is also going to be a vacation, July 2020, and I really don't know how soon we can come out with the kinds of do's and don'ts that are being told. We have to follow that. And you children, you are the future of the world. You are the future of this country, this great country. So you will have to ensure that nature is protected. The theme, the tagline, the multimedia campaign of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change of the Government of India is what? Nature protects if she is protected. Mind you, it is conditional. Nature is saying, if you protect me, I will protect you. Now, how nature protects us is through the ecosystem services. And there are four major categories of ecosystem services, which are, of course, you are going to read about this during holidays, which are provisional, regulatory, cultural, and supporting. Uh, the example of provisional services, food that we eat, the air that we breathe. Now, how nature, how ecosystem, how plants produce food? They produces by using solar energy, atmospheric carbon dioxide, and atmospheric water. So carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight, and with the help of the chlorophyll, the green in the plants, give you what? The food. First it forms glucose and also oxygen. So this one reaction of nature, this one chemical reaction of nature, what is that called? Photosynthesis. Conversion of solar energy into food. Amazing. See, nature is so bountiful, so powerful. It gives us our primary food. And particularly we Indians, many of us are vegetarians. We eat the primary produce. There are, as I told you, 50,000 varieties of plants in our country, the number of species, as against 1.7 million species of animals and plants in the world. Out of that, 15 to 20 species which are cultivated, rice, wheat, tomatoes, potatoes, onions, like this, around 20 species are very important so far as our food is concerned. You can ask, why can't we have only these 15, 20? No, it's the variety of life on earth. More the variety, better it is. More the diversity, better it is for disease control and many things. When you read about ecosystem services, you will get to know. I don't have that much time to explain to you, because otherwise each and every, you know, so I was talking about the provisional services, the food, the primary producers, like grass, fruits, edible fruits, wheat, rice. Now, see a food chain, the grass is eaten by a deer, the herbivore, and then that gets eaten by a carnivore. By just explain to you food chain, food web, there are decomposers in nature. If elephant dies, ants finish it. So there is no waste in nature, whereas we humans have created a lot of waste. So children, dear champions, dear friends, you will ensure that we do not waste our food. You guys will be surprised to know that in poor countries like us, in developing countries like ours, 50% of the food, before it comes to the eating table, it goes waste. you know when it's a season for tomatoes or potatoes or onions, the perishable vegetables, they those go waste because of because of poor infrastructure, because of the poor supply line. Whereas in developed countries, in rich countries, 50% of food after coming to the table goes waste. This is an average, world average. And in many of our households also, because some of us really live like Americans, the rich countries, and we waste so much, the hotels waste so much, so there should not be any waste of food. So children, when you grow and when you are decision makers, ensure that there is no waste. Recently you saw the plastic waste, ban on plastic and all those kind of things. Unfortunately, we human beings, while we solve one problem of humans, we create another problem, which we call footprint. The industrial revolution led to increase in temperature, more carbon dioxide, you know. But the regulating service, ecosystem service, you just saw what happens in photosynthesis. Oxygen comes out and carbon dioxide is taken. So this is the regulating service that nature provides us. So we must protect nature. So nature protects, if she is protected. So there are four broad categories of ecosystem services, which are those: provisional, regulatory, cultural, and supporting. Cultural is what? When we go to the sea coast, when we go to the forest, when we go to a grassland, when we go to a national park, wildlife park, we feel great. Shade of a tree, you really enjoy during summer season. If there are no trees, there will be no shade, it will be very hot, and so on and so forth. So cultural, the aesthetic, spiritual, services, this is all. Then there are supporting services, the nutrient cycling, the soil, enrichment of soil, giving us crops every year. So the four broad categories, and then 24 subcategories of ecosystem services. Children, you study those, you will find it very interesting. You will appreciate why should we protect nature. And if we protect nature, nature will definitely protect us. Well, if I if you have more time later, I'll be talking to you about many other things. But today, what we talked, we said um, ecology, nature, environment, ecosystem. They're all synonymous. People use it but ecology is very important. Ecology is what? The study of the house. And economics, which gives us money, you know. So we all talk about money, demand, supply, consumer, the throwaway culture that we have. Uh, so what was happening? Economics is management of the house. So without studying the house, without studying nature, without studying the house is the planet, the earth, planet earth, or in a smaller way, your home, your own ecosystem. Ecosystem is, as I said, interaction between living and non-living, which gives you various services. And I said four broad categories of ecosystem services, then sub-services. So please study all this. You will appreciate how useful is nature and why we must protect nature. In fact, some of you who would start giving, who will you will attain voting age, you must, before voting, you must ask the political parties who come to seek your votes. You must ask them or tell your parents that before voting, they must ensure from the political parties, be it at the municipal level, be it at the legislative assembly level or at the national level, that what are they going to do to ensure clean air, clean water for us. And we as consumers, we as human beings must ensure that we eat as much as local food. Locally grown food is, uh, you know, very healthy. It encourages the income generation for the farmers because they will start growing. There's no point eating something which grows very far. The transporting that from place A to place B creates our footprint. Footprint is, footprint. When we use service A, if we create, we damage the nature, by burning fuel, we create pollution. So on and so forth. So we must reduce our footprint. So what we should encourage and what we should ensure from policymakers, that more more handprint, more affirmative action, more actions which lead to protection of nature, and reduce the footprint. Reduce the footprint, carbon footprint, so that there is no climate change, no heating of the planet, and we all live in harmony with nature. So, friends, nature protects. If she is protected, it's time for nature. Our solutions are in nature. This is all the themes. Themes can only become real once we all, individual human beings, work together. There are various things, look, I don't want to go further into this. So happy living in harmony with nature, children. I have given you the work. Find out what is ecology, what is food chain, what is food web, what is photosynthesis, and what are ecosystem services, how nature protects us, and why should we protect nature to avoid diseases like COVID 19. Thank you so much. All the best to all of you. Thank you, NMNH, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Hem Pande. I am a retired Indian Administrative Service Officer. I was last working as Secretary in the Government of India, and before that, I had worked in the Ministry of Environment, Forests, and Climate Change in the Government of India. And I had also got an opportunity of working with National Museum of Natural History as, um, in my capacity at the policy level in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate. Thank you very much, and all the very best. Let's protect nature to enable us to survive. Thank you so much. Nature protects if she is protected. Namaskar. All the best.